Hello everybody, my name is Robin. Today Mike and I will show you how to install various types of window treatments, including blinds, shades, and drapes. We'll guide you through each step from measuring your windows to ensuring everything is installed correctly. We'll explain the tools and materials you'll need for a successful installation, as well as show you how to install a curtain and decorative valance. At the end of the workshop, we'll cover some frequently asked questions and provide a quick summary of what you've learned today. Now, before we begin, it's important to know that there are two main ways to mount your window treatments, an inside mount and an outside mount. We'll go over how to measure for both of those types.
That's right, Robin. An inside mount fits your window treatment snugly inside the window frame, giving it a clean, streamlined appearance. This method is popular for its modern, minimalist look, allowing you to showcase the architectural details of your window, like the frame or trim. However, one thing to keep in mind is that the blinds or shades will take up some space when they're fully retracted. This means a portion of your window will be covered at the top. Even when the blinds are open, also you need to ensure that the depth of your window frame is sufficient to accommodate the window treatment. Blinds, for example, have varying depth requirements depending on their style. If your window frame doesn't have enough depth, and some don't, the headrail could extend beyond the frame out into the room, disrupting that clean, flush look.
Right. That happened to mine. I had replacement windows put in, and I no longer had the depth in my window frame to be able to put inside mount. I had to outside mount all of my window treatments.
Because your new windows were thicker,
Yep.
and they took up more space.
Right, so there wasn't enough depth in there. Exactly. Now, the other type of mount is what we call an outside mount, which is what I had to use. And this attaches to the wall or the window trim outside of the window frame. This option is ideal if your window frame doesn't have enough depth for an inside mount, or if you prefer that maximum light control. Since outside mounts are installed beyond the window frame, they can block more light, making them an excellent choice for blackout shades. An outside mount also offers the benefit of making your windows appear larger. By extending the window treatments beyond the edges of the window, you can give the illusion of a wider or taller window, which is especially useful in smaller spaces. Plus, this method can be more forgiving in terms of measurements, as you don't need to be exactly precise to make sure that that blind fits inside your window frame. Another advantage of the outside mount is that you can cover any imperfections around your window frame, such as uneven edges or trim damage, and it can provide better insulation since it blocks out more light and air from seeping in around the edges of the blinds.
So whether you're aiming for a sleek, modern look or maximum light coverage, both mounting options have their pros. It really depends on your preference and the conditions of your windows. Now, let's move on to how to properly measure for these installations.
When measuring for inside mount installation, precision is key. You want your blinds or shades to fit snugly inside the window frame without any gaps. But you also want to make sure that it's not too wide, because then it either won't fit or it'll rub the sides of the frame, preventing from operating smoothly. Careful and accurate measurements are crucial. So here's what you're going to need to get started: a steel measuring tape for accurate results, a pencil to mark your measurements, a step stool or ladder, which is especially helpful if you have those tall windows so you can measure easily at the top.
When measuring, resist the temptation to bend your tape measure into the corners of the window frame. A lot of people do this, but doing that can give you inaccurate measurements. Instead, you want to hold the tape flat along the surface and butt the case of the tape measure against the inside of the frame, and then add the length of the case itself, which is often printed on the side of the tape measure. Not always, but usually it is. You add those things together to the reading that you're seeing on the tape measure. This technique ensures you get the correct measurement every time. General rule of thumb is to account for 1/8 inch variance by following these steps. You'll have precise dimensions for an inside mount installation, ensuring your blinds or shades fit snugly without gaps or misalignments. Now, with all that out of the way, Robin, where are you supposed to measure?
Well, we're going to be taking measurements both horizontally and vertically, as well as checking that depth of the window frame. And here's how. Measure horizontally. Take 3 horizontal measurements across the inside of the window frame. 1 at the top, 1 at the middle, and 1 at the bottom. Windows may not always be perfectly square, so this step helps ensure accuracy. Be sure to measure from the inside edge of the frame on one side to the inside edge of the frame on the other side. Once you've recorded these measurements, always use the smallest one, because using that smallest measurement ensures the blinds won't be too wide to fit into the narrowest part of your window.
Here's a pro tip. Round your measurement down to the nearest 1/8 of an inch for the best fit. Next, measure vertically in 3 places, 1 on the left, 1 in the center, and 1 on the right side of the window. This helps account for any slight variations in height along the frame. Again, take the longest measurement and round it down to the nearest 1/8 of an inch. Using the largest vertical measurement ensures that the blinds will sit properly at the bottom of the window frame without being too long. Check the depth. Don't forget to measure the depth of the window frame, which is a distance between the front edge in the room and the back of the frame where the window glass is.
There's one more thing you have to consider with that depth as well. Depending on your windows, I know a lot of times with like slider windows that slide side to side, they have a whole side section, that's that handle that you pull, that sticks out a little bit further. So with a flush mount, you have to make sure that you're gonna clear that and it's not gonna push that blind forward, making it look awkward when it sits closed.
Right, so if you have that and you're measuring that depth, make sure that you measure from the outside, the inside of the room, to that thing, whatever that thing might be, because that's the depth you need to make sure that the blind will clear.
Absolutely. Now, this is crucial. Different types of window treatments require different amounts of depth. For example, those wooden or faux wood blinds may need more depth than a mini blind or a cellular shade. The manufacturer's instructions for your blinds or shades will specify how much depth you need. If your frame doesn't meet the depth requirements, you may need to consider an outside mount instead.
And this is one of those things you don't want to guess on. You know, if you look at your window and you think, oh, it looks like 2 inches, and you buy something that's bigger than 2 inches, it's not going to fit. Don't assume. Again, the measurements on this throughout the process is critical. Make sure you measure everything that's going to come into play.
Right.
Now, on to measuring for outside mount. When it comes to outside mount installations, the process is generally more forgiving than inside mount measurements. However, accuracy is still important to ensure a good fit and proper coverage. Outside mounts are great for scenarios where you want to block out as much light as possible, or when the window frame isn't deep enough, like we've talked about, to accommodate an inside mount.
Here's how to measure for an outside mount. Start by measuring the width of the window, but instead of measuring inside the frame, you'll measure from the outside edge of the casing or trim on one side to the outside edge of the casing on the other side. This is going to give you the measurement needed to install the brackets outside of your window frame. If your window doesn't have casing, measure the width of the window opening and add several inches to extend beyond the frame. Pro tip, it's always a good idea to measure in a couple of different places along the height of the window, as walls can sometimes be uneven. This ensures that you're getting the most accurate width. Choose the widest measurement, as this is going to give you the maximum coverage. And then again, measure from the top of the window or where you plan to install the headrail. Sometimes you need a little bit of space above the casing. Right? So from the top of where you want to mount the headrail all the way down to the bottom of the windowsill or beyond if you want the window treatment to cover even more of the wall. Now, some people prefer the blinds or shades to extend a few inches below the windowsill to ensure that complete coverage, particularly for rooms where privacy or light control is a priority. Add extra width for coverage to maximize that light control and privacy. It's a good idea to add that extra width beyond the casing, maybe a total of 3 inches, about 1.5 inches on each side. This ensures that when the blinds or shades are fully closed, they'll cover more of the window and block more light. This additional width also helps cover any gaps between the edge of the window treatment and the window itself, giving your installation a cleaner, more polished look.
So real quick, the inside mount, you are limited by the size of the window.
Absolutely.
You have to make sure that your blind is slightly smaller than the space. Outside mount, you're measuring just to make sure what your minimum width is for your blinds, because they have to be at least that wide. Then you add as much as you want. They can extend 2 or 3 inches beyond the edges of the window if you want, and they can extend below, like you mentioned. So it's just the opposite. The specific size of the inside mount limits how big it can be. The window for an outside mount just tells you where you're starting, and then you can extend beyond that as far as you want.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Now, when measuring for an outside mount, also consider any potential obstructions, such as nearby light switches, outlets, or trim molding that might interfere with the installation. Be sure to leave enough space above the window for the headrail and mounting brackets, especially if you're using a valance or a decorative shade that requires additional clearance. If you're installing over a door or a larger window, take into account how high you'll need to install the brackets to allow for the smooth operation when raising and lowering the blinds.
Now, outside mounts are more forgiving because the outside mounts aren't confined to that dimension of the window frames, so you have that flexibility in measurement. If your window isn't perfectly square, you won't have to worry about those small discrepancies in the width or the height. Additionally, an outside mount can give the illusion of a larger window, which is a great design trick for making those smaller windows appear more substantial. By adding that few extra inches to the width, you also improve the window treatment's ability to block light and provide more privacy. This is particularly useful in bedrooms, media rooms, or any room where you want that full control over how much sunlight enters. Plus, it can help with insulation. By covering more of the window area and reducing those drafts if you have those older windows. Now, if you're installing window treatments over a sliding door or large windows, vertical blinds or wide shades can provide easy access while still giving you plenty of light control. Make sure to measure carefully to ensure that smooth operation.
Now, when you're talking about window sizes, I happen to live in a loft, and my windows are really, really tall. So I had to do a special order because there was nothing in stock. The width wasn't a problem. The length was a problem. So I had to special order those. And then I've got a door and some windows on my balcony. Those are a kind of a regular shape, so I just got those from the store and had them cut in the store. But just know that sometimes you'll have to make considerations for the size. That kind of goes outside what you'll find just when you walk in any Home Depot store, but you can always special order those. We can make blinds to fit just about any window. You just got to kind of take that into consideration.
Yeah, you do. And something to know, even the ones that you buy off the shelf, those are semi-customizable, right? In the store, they can actually cut those down a little bit. It'll tell you right on the package how much they can take off. So you always want to find an off-the-shelf blind that's closest to your measurement, possibly a little bit bigger, because we can take some off. You can't add any more back on. All right?
And just know that the ones in the store are general sizes that work in most cases, but again, not all windows are the same, so you might have to take off just a fraction because you run into that measurement that's a little bit, wonky and a little bit shorter than you expected. And even though you're really close, the blind in the store won't quite fit, so you got to cut a little bit off, or have them cut a little bit off. You don't want to do that.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to do that. The store is fully prepared. They have the right tools. It fits in with the warranty, all of that. So you want to make sure that you have the store cut them.
Right, and they've got the device made to cut blinds. It will cut them very evenly and very smoothly. If you try to go in and cut these slats individually, it's not going to be level and you're going to notice it. It's going to drive you nuts. So make sure you let the store do it for you.
Right.
Now that we have accurate measurements, it's time to choose the right window treatments for the space. There are several factors to consider when selecting your window treatments, such as light control, which we've mentioned, privacy, and insulation.
Right. Choosing the right window treatment depends on your room's needs and your personal preferences. So let's break it down a little bit. Light control is one of the primary functions of window treatments, and that's just managing the amount of light that's entering a room. If you're looking for something that allows a soft, diffused light to enter, a light filtering option such as cellular shades or sheer curtains is a great choice. However, if you need to block all of that light, such as a bedroom or a media room, you're going to want to look at something like a blackout shade or heavy drapes. These are really ideal for more flexible light control. Blinds and shutters are excellent options because they allow you to adjust the slats or louvers to let in just the right amount of light.
Now, privacy is another key consideration, especially for rooms obviously like bathrooms or bedrooms. Blinds, shades, and drapes offer excellent privacy options, but the degree of privacy can vary based on the material and the design. Window treatments can also play a crucial role in helping to insulate your home, which is especially important if you have older windows that tend to let in drafts or excessive heat. Honeycomb or cellular shades are well known for their insulating properties. The unique structure of these shades with their multiple cells along the actual shade traps air and helps regulate the temperature in your home, making them a smart choice for energy efficiency. Drapes can also provide good insulation when made from heavier fabrics.
Yeah, there are many types of blinds available, each suited for different needs and styles. Premium wood blinds are a top choice for their elegant appearance, durability, and the ability to be painted or kept that natural wood tone, though they come at a higher price point. If you want the look of wood at a lower cost, the faux wood blinds are a great alternative, offering durability and resistance to moisture and sunlight.
For more budget-friendly options, aluminum and vinyl mini blinds are also available, providing good light control and privacy. Blinds come in horizontal or vertical styles, with horizontal blinds being best for smaller windows and vertical blinds being ideal for larger windows or patio doors.
When selecting blinds, consider additional features like motorized or cordless blinds for easier operation. Room darkening or blackout drapes are perfect for nurseries, media rooms, bedrooms, places where you want to block out light. Make sure to take accurate measurements before purchasing. Our associates can help cut your in-store blinds to the exact size needed at no extra cost.
Now, for this project, we'll be installing two different types of window treatments. In one space, we'll install an inside mount horizontal blind. In another room, we'll install an outside mount cellular shade. Now that we've selected our window treatments, we're ready to move on to the installation phase. Installing these blinds may seem complex, but by following these steps carefully, you'll be able to do it yourself with confidence. Let's walk through the step-by-step process. The first step is always to unpack your blinds and carefully read through the manufacturer's instructions. Every set of blinds can come with slight variations in installation requirements, so it's important to familiarize yourself with the specific details. Check that all the parts, including the headrail, the brackets, screws, and any center support brackets are accounted for before beginning the installation.
Now, for an inside mount, the brackets will be installed on the inside corners of the window frame. Use your pencil to mark the locations where the brackets will be mounted. Horizontal wooden blinds are heavier than traditional blinds, so accurate placement of the brackets is crucial for ensuring that they are properly supported. If your blinds are particularly wide, you'll likely need to have at least one center support bracket to prevent sagging in the middle. The manufacturer's instructions will specify whether this is needed based on the overall width of your blinds.
And you might need more than one in the middle. If it's extra long, you might need two or three. It just
Absolutely.
depends. Once you've marked the locations for your brackets, use your drill to create pilot holes. This step is important to prevent the wood frame from splitting when you install the screws. Be sure to drill straight and at the correct depth to ensure a secure hold.
Now, if your window frame is particularly narrow or you're concerned about strength, you may want to use wall anchors for additional support. With the pilot holes drilled, you're ready to install the brackets. Use your screws and a screwdriver or drill with a screwdriver bit to securely fasten the brackets to the window frame. It's important to double check that the brackets are level using your level tool. Uneven brackets will cause your blinds to hang crookedly, impacting both their appearance and functionality. If your blinds require a center support bracket, now is the time to install it. This bracket is typically mounted at the top center of the window frame, providing additional support for the headrail, especially for wider sets of blinds. Make sure the center bracket is aligned with the side brackets so the headrail can sit evenly across all support points. Once your brackets are in place, it's time to install the headrail of the blind. Hold the headrail up to the bracket and snap it into place by angling the front of the rail in first, then pushing up on the back until you hear it click. The headrail should fit securely within the brackets without any wiggle room. The headrail houses the mechanism that allows the horizontal blinds to rotate and move, so a firm fit is critical to the functionality of these blinds.
Now, real quick, we do want to mention that generally there are different size screws in these packages, and you want to pay attention to that because it's not uncommon for people to grab the first screw they see and use it only to realize, oh, that went somewhere else. So normally there are longer screws and shorter screws that are specific to different types of different parts of the installation. Just make sure that you check in the instructions and use the right screw in the right place.
Good point. Sometimes when you open everything up and you start looking at the packaging, you may see some additional pieces. These blinds are designed that you can leave them down and then maybe just adjust the light with the wand to open and close the louvers. And they include these additional brackets that will get mounted at the bottom on the inside of the frame, and it attaches to the bottom of the blind. And these will get screwed right in down there. That will hold your blinds down and in place and prevent them from moving. This is an optional step. You don't need these.
Right. And two other things. We mentioned how our headrail locked in at the front and then snapped into the back.
Right.
That may not be the case with your blinds. So it's another reason why you always want to read the instructions, because even though that's the case probably with most blinds, there might be some out there that snap into place a little bit different, so just be aware of that. The other thing are the screws. You know, generally in these packages, there's going to be at least two different sizes of screws. You may not notice that because they're not that different, but make sure you look in the instructions and use the right screws in the right place. You don't want to just grab the first screw and put it in. It may not be long enough, and now you've got to undo it and replace it. Just make sure that you know that there's two different kinds of screws and that they're made specifically for different parts of the installation. So pay attention to that when you're planning this out.
Right. Those manufacturer instructions are so important. Take the 5 minutes just to read through them so that you know exactly what part goes where, what screws go where, and if you need all of the parts. Because again, some of these features may be optional and you may choose not to use them.
Right. And even experienced DIYers who maybe have installed a lot of blinds think, oh, I've done this before, I know this. And they happen to get that one blind that's different and they get halfway through and realize they've made a mistake.
Yes.
So it is important. Even if you don't read every word, at least glance through it to make sure that nothing jumps out as being different.
Absolutely.
So you're prepared and you can do it correctly. Now, many horizontal wooden blinds come with a decorative headrail cover that conceals the mounting brackets and gives the blinds a finished look. Before you attach the decorative valance, you'll want to install the headrail valance clips. Simply snap this cover into place over the headrail. Following the manufacturer's instructions, this cover helps maintain the clean, streamlined appearance of your inside mount. Finally, once the blinds are fully assembled, insert the control wand or the chain, whatever it comes with, and test their functionality. Rotate the slats to ensure they move smoothly and adjust the light as needed. Then, pull the blinds open and closed a few times to ensure that they glide effortlessly along the headrail. If your blinds don't seem to operate smoothly, check to make sure that the brackets are level and that the headrail is properly seated. Also inspect each slat to ensure it's hanging straight and isn't caught on anything. Installing inside mount horizontal wooden blinds can transform a room, adding both style and function. With careful measuring, secure bracket placement, and attention to detail, your blinds will hang perfectly and work as intended. Now, let's move on to the installation of outside mount cellular shades.
Cellular shades, also known as honeycomb shades, are a great option for providing insulation, light control, and privacy. Installing them with an outside mount ensures maximum coverage, making them particularly effective for blocking light and drapes around the window. Now let's go step by step through the installation process for an outside mount cellular shade.
You want to start by unpacking your cellular shade and laying out the components. Make sure all the parts, including the headrail, the brackets, the screws, and any additional hardware are accounted for. On an outside mount, the brackets will be installed on the wall or the trim around the window. Use your tape measure and pencil to carefully mark the spots where the brackets will go. Be sure to measure evenly on both sides of the window so that the headrail will be level once it's installed.
Now, to ensure optimal light control and coverage, it's best to position the bracket an inch or so above the window frame and extend the shade a few inches beyond the width of the window on either side. Now, sometimes when there's trim around the window, you may also want to put a block or a thin piece of wood behind your bracket to kind of bring it out so that it's level with the front of the trim. This is up to you. Some blinds will come with that, some won't. It's not necessary, it's just how it looks to you. All right? Now, after marking the spots for the brackets, you're gonna wanna use your drill to create those pilot holes for the screws. Pilot holes are essential because, again, they're going to prevent that wood from cracking or that drywall, getting into that drywall properly. If you're drilling into drywall without hitting a stud, you'll need to use wall anchors for added support. Now, this ensures the shade stays securely mounted even with daily use. Once the pilot holes are ready, install the brackets using the provided screws and your screwdriver or drill with a screwdriver bit.
Now, one thing on the brackets, you want to try to look for studs. That's always the best option.
Right.
You want to make sure that it's as secure as it can be. But if you've done that and that's just not an option, don't be in a hurry and think, oh, it should be fine. I'm just going to stick this in the drywall. You know, even if it feels secure when you do it, over time with the movement and the function of the blinds, it's absolutely going to work its way loose. And that's not good. You're going to have to start over. So always look for a stud if you can. If there's not one, use that anchor that we talked about.
Right.
Double check that the brackets are spaced evenly and are level by using your level. Uneven brackets can cause the shade to hang a little crooked or affect its ability to move smoothly. If the shade is particularly wide, you may need to install a center bracket for extra support. This will be outlined in the manufacturer's instructions if needed.
With those brackets securely mounted, it's time to snap the headrail of the cellular shade into place. Hold the headrail up to the brackets and angle the front of the rail into the bracket first, then snap the rear of the headrail into place until you hear a distinct click. This indicates that the headrail is securely fastened within the brackets.
Again, double check the manufacturer's instructions to see if the headrail snaps in front to back or back to front. Each blind installation may vary a bit, so just check that before you get up there and start installing it.
Absolutely. Once the headrail is in place, the final step is to test the functionality of the shade. Gently pull the shade down to ensure it extends smoothly, then raise it back up to check if it retracts properly. Many cellular shades have a cordless mechanism, allowing you to simply adjust the shade by pulling on the bottom rail. If the shade doesn't operate smoothly, check that the brackets and headrail are level and that there are no obstructions in the way.
And that's it.
And that's it.
Now that we've installed our blinds, a great way to enhance the aesthetic appeal and functionality of your window treatments is by adding drapes or a valance. Both options provide additional style while improving light control, privacy, and insulation. Curtains work exceptionally well over inside mounted blinds because they help cover any gaps of the sides of the window where light might seep in through a small gap. They also add elegance and warmth to a room, creating a layered look. On the other hand, a valance is ideal for outside mounted blinds as it covers the headrail and hardware, giving the window a more polished or decorative appearance.
Absolutely. When you install inside mounted blinds, you may notice those small gaps along the side of the window where that light can enter, even when those blinds are fully closed. Curtains can help cover these gaps and provide that extra layer of insulation, making them, again, perfect for bedrooms or living areas where you want extra privacy and light control. Plus, hanging curtains wider and higher than the window can make that window appear larger, adding visual height and width to the room. Here are the steps to install curtains. Select a curtain style that fits your design preferences. Curtains come in a variety of hanging styles, such as the grommet, which has the large metal rings for the rod to pass through, pleated, which hangs using either rings or hooks, or rod pocket, where the rod slides directly through the pocket at the top of the fabric. Measure where you want the curtain rod to be installed. A common design tip is to hang the rod several inches above the window frame and extend it beyond the width of the window on both sides. This will not only cover any light gaps, but also make the window appear larger. Use a pencil to mark where the brackets for the curtain rod will be installed. Be sure to space the brackets evenly on either side of the window and use your level to ensure the rod will hang straight. Once you've marked the locations, drill pilot holes for the screws. If you're drilling into drywall without hitting a stud, be sure to use those wall anchors for added stability.
Use a drill or screwdriver to secure the brackets to the wall. Since this is drywall, we have added anchors for additional support. Double check with your level to ensure they are aligned properly. Slide the curtain onto the rod depending on the style you've chosen and place the rod onto the installed brackets. Adjust the drapes so that they hang evenly and ensure they cover the sides of the window. Open and close the curtains to ensure smooth operation. Adjust the curtains as necessary to ensure they are hanging evenly and at the correct height. Now, one question that people sometimes have is, what's the length of my curtains? Sometimes I see them go all the way to the floor. Sometimes they end at the bottom of the window. There's really no rule about that. It's really personal preference. I think there are some general guidelines. Generally speaking, you tend to see the longer curtains maybe in a more formal area or in a living room, and maybe the shorter curtains in a bedroom where maybe it's a little bit more casual. And I think that's considered maybe a more casual look. I don't know.
It is. Those are generally shorter. A lot of times a lot of people ask the difference between curtains and drapes. So curtains generally are shorter, but they're also a lighter fabric. So if you have like a lighter fabric that's even like a sheer or like a thin cotton, that's considered a curtain. If you have something heavy like a velvet or something like that, they'll call those drapes. Now, as far as the height, it really is just preference. That making it longer, going from the ceiling all the way to the floor or well above the window all the way to the floor, it's just a more dramatic look, right? A dramatic decor decision, but that's exactly what it is. It's a decision. What do you like? It's your house. Right. It's your preference.
And another thing that people sometimes do, they don't just bring the curtain to the floor, they have it extra long and they bunch them and gather them at the bottom for an even more dramatic, kind of puddle them at the bottom, which is kind of cool. So there's a lot of options. Again, no rule, just guidelines. You can do whatever you want.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And, sometimes, again, going wider so that the curtains or drapes cover a little bit of the wall makes them look, again, makes that whole window system look a lot wider so your windows have greater presence.
Right. And there's something, I have a friend that actually did this. For some reason, on one side of their living room, they had two big windows. Mm-hmm. On the other side, they only had one window, and they never really knew why. It just is the way the house was built. But it looked weird to put a wider curtain on one side and a smaller curtain on one side. So they actually did the double-sided, or the wider curtain for the double windows. They did the same width on the other side of the room. It just looked more balanced, and it looked right. Mm-hmm. Didn't matter that there wasn't a window behind one of them, but overall it looked better.
Exactly. So yeah, it's really a preference. All right, now that we've covered curtains for those inside mounted blinds, let's move on to adding a valance for outside mounted shades. So what is a valance? A valance is really just a decorative piece of fabric or other material that covers the headrail of the blind or shade, providing that finished, polished look. Valances are especially useful when you have an outside mounted shade, as they can conceal the mounting hardware and create a more cohesive, styled appearance. They're available in various designs, from simple straight lines to more intricate pleated or gathered styles, depending on your preference. First, you'll select a valance that complements the style of your room and window treatment. Valances come in various styles such as box pleats, gathered, scalloped, can be made from fabric, wood, or even faux wood.
Now, just like with drapes, you'll need to measure and mark where the valance brackets will be installed. Since the valance needs to extend beyond the headrail, ensure that the brackets are positioned far enough forward to allow the valance to fully cover the depth of the shade's headrail. Using your drill, create pilot holes for the screws at the marked bracket locations. If drilling again into drywall, use those wall anchors to ensure the brackets are securely fastened in place. Secure the valance brackets into place using a drill or screwdriver. Make sure they are spaced evenly on either side of the window and check for level alignment.
Now, once these brackets are installed, attach the valance according to the manufacturer's instructions. Some valances snap into place, while others may slide into grooves on the bracket. After the valance is installed, step back and check that it's hanging evenly and at the right height. Adjust the positioning if needed. Adding drapes or a valance is an excellent way to complete your window treatment, enhancing both its functionality and aesthetic appeal. With these additions, your windows will not only look great, but will also perform better in terms of privacy, insulation, and light control.
Now you might be asking, do I need a valance? You don't have to have a valance. Obviously that's additional. If you want a more streamlined, maybe modern, clean look, you may not want to add a valance. But if you want that added detail, you want that ability to maybe incorporate another detail, decorative element, it's a great opportunity to do just that.
Absolutely. And the one thing with the valances, remember the main thing between the valances and the drapes, drapes and curtains, you're going to be moving, right? So you got to make sure those are on there really solid. So those wall anchors are important if you're going into drywall. With a valance, generally you don't touch them or move them. You still want to make sure that they're secure. So I would still definitely use anchors if you're going into drywall, but it's not going to get that constant movement and adjustment like a drape or a curtain would.
Once they are securely installed, they're not going anywhere.
Right, exactly.
Generally speaking.
Exactly.
Now, let's quickly review the tools that you'll need for these installations. Measuring tape for accurate measurements of your windows, ladder or step stool to safely reach the top of your windows, a pencil for marking the locations where brackets, rods, or valances will be installed, a drill with appropriate bits to create pilot holes and drive screws into your walls or window frames, a screwdriver or drill with a screwdriver bit for securing those brackets and the hardware, a level to ensure that your blinds, shades, or drapery rods are installed evenly.
For these window treatment installations, you'll need the following materials. You obviously have to have the blind or the shade, your drapes or your curtains. Valance brackets. A lot of times if you're going to use the valance that comes with your blinds, your thicker blinds, those will go ahead and be included with the blind, but if you want something different, you're going to have the rods for that. A curtain rod for drapes, the headrail cover if needed for blinds, screws, again, often included with the hardware, but sometimes there's extras. You want to have some extras just in case. You're going to want to have some wall anchors, like mounting into that drywall or surfaces without studs. You want the correct anchor as well. We've been talking a lot about drywall, but if you have masonry walls like cinder block or brick, you're going to need a different specific anchor for masonry or brick. So make sure you're getting the correct kind. When purchasing blinds or shades, most products come with the essential brackets and headrail covers included in the package. These components are typically provided by the manufacturer to ensure the product can be installed securely and has a finished, polished look once it's mounted. The brackets hold the blinds or shades in place, whether you're doing an inside mount or an outside mount. while the headrail cover provides a decorative element to conceal the hardware, giving your window treatment a cleaner appearance. However, in some cases, particularly with custom or high-end window treatments, you may need to purchase certain components separately. For example, custom blinds, shades, and shutters. If you order custom window treatments, the standard brackets or headrail covers might not be included, especially if you're choosing specific styles or finishes that differ from standard options. Now, while some blinds come with a basic headrail cover, you may prefer to purchase a more decorative valance or upgraded cover that complements your room's style. It's always a good idea to check the product details when making a purchase to ensure that all necessary hardware is included, or be prepared to order those parts separately if needed. This helps you avoid any last-minute surprises when you're ready to install your window treatments.
Real quick, I wanted to mention the extra screws that you brought up.
Right.
Here's why that's important. If you have not done a lot of these type projects and you haven't used a drill a lot, or as you're putting the screws in and you run into a stubborn wall stud like we did when we were doing ours, sometimes there's a knot in the wood or there's just something back there that the screw doesn't like, and it takes a lot of energy to get that screw. You can strip that screw. You can wear down the little openings in the head of the screw that make it able for you to install it. So when that happens, you're kind of stuck. So make sure, if you think you might run into that, if you've had issues on other windows in your house, or if you're just not used to using a power drill, you may want to go ahead and get some extra screws and have them on hand. You don't want to run into needing them and not having them in the middle of your installation.
Absolutely. There's nothing worse than not being able to complete an installation when you're scheduled for it there.
Now, let's address some frequently asked questions. Robin, can I install blinds on my own, or am I going to need a professional?
Absolutely. Most blinds and shades are designed for easy DIY installation. And with the right tools and clear instructions, it's something most homeowners can handle. However, if you have large, heavy blinds or shades, or if you're not comfortable using power tools, it might be a good idea to seek professional help. Additionally, for custom or motorized window treatments, you may prefer to have a professional handle the installation to ensure that everything is set up correctly. How high should I hang my drapery rod above the window?
Well, for a more dramatic effect, like we spoke about earlier, and to make your windows appear taller, you can hang your drapery rod about 4 to 6 inches above the window frame. If you have high ceilings, you can hang the rod even closer to the ceiling to create the illusion of height. You can also extend the rod beyond the width of the window frame by about 3 to 6 inches, up to you, on each side to make the window look wider and to allow the drapes to fully open without blocking the window itself. Stop the curtain at the bottom of the window or let it go all the way to the floor. It's totally up to you. Now, Robin, what are the best blinds or shades for light control and privacy?
Okay, for light control and privacy, you're going to want to look for blackout shades and drapes. These offer the best light control, especially for bedrooms or media rooms where complete darkness is preferred. Faux wood or wood blinds provide flexible light control, allowing you to adjust the slats to let in just the right amount of light. For privacy, honeycomb or cellular shades are excellent, as they not only block light but also offer insulation, making them ideal for bedrooms and living rooms. Those vertical blinds are also great for sliding doors or large windows. They give you privacy while still being easy to adjust light control and have access. These are the most common, but there are other window treatments like roller shades and Roman shades, as well as shutters. To get the custom look to fit your lifestyle, other than shutters, most types are easily installed in a day. So, Mike, how do I go ahead and clean my blinds now that I have them?
Well, first of all, you should clean your blinds. People often wonder that. It's one of those things where you don't necessarily look at your blinds a lot, but they collect a lot of dust, and that dust can build up and they can get pretty dirty. So as far as maintenance, the method for cleaning your blinds or shades depends on the material that they're made of. Wooden blinds should be dusted regularly using just a soft cloth or a duster, avoiding excess moisture to prevent any kind of warping. Faux wood or vinyl blinds can be cleaned with just a damp cloth or a sponge. Fabric shades like roller, Roman, or cellular shades should be vacuumed with a brush attachment to remove the dust there, while stubborn stains can be spot cleaned with mild soap and water. Always check your manufacturer's care instructions for specific cleaning guidelines to ensure the longevity of your window treatments. Now, one of the reasons people might put off cleaning their blinds is that it takes time.
Yeah.
It's a lot of slats and you got to do them individually. It's not a lot of fun, but it's important to, if you dust on a regular basis, that dust doesn't build up and kind of get clunked and gunked up on there and stick, and it's harder to clean that. And it takes a lot more time. So it's important just to dust them on a regular basis. You won't have to worry about that.
Yeah, it makes it easier keeping up with it. So it takes less time in the long run if you do it more often. Okay, to wrap things up, we've covered how to measure for both inside and outside mounts, install wooden blinds and cellular shades, and even how to add drapes and a decorative valance for a complete window treatment look. We have also provided the tools and materials necessary to complete this project, as well as covered some frequently asked questions, including maintenance. If you have any additional questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us at workshopslive@homedepot.com.
Now, as always, we want to thank you for joining us today. We hope this workshop has equipped you with the knowledge and confidence to tackle these projects on your own. So on behalf of the entire Home Depot workshop team, we want to thank you for shopping with the Home Depot, and we look forward to seeing you at our next Home Depot How-To Workshop.